Well, those of you who have just planted your asparagus beds this spring need to take a little bit of caution in harvesting, especially for that first year. In other words, when your asparagus spears start coming up, you need to make sure that you allow them to grow up into the ferns for that first year. And the reason for that is the ferns will help provide nutrition to the crown, so you'll get a bigger crown and hopefully larger harvest and better yields in the future. Now, the bed that I'm in front of is one that was planted in 1987, and it's the variety Mary Washington. So we are really getting some good sized spears from these crowns. And remember that they work in an area where the primary buds that will break are usually going to be the largest spears. We've had some that have been about an inch in diameter, which are huge spears, and now they're starting to get a little bit smaller. Well, when you harvest your asparagus spears, the earlier in the season, you can actually allow them to get a little bit taller. And usually a key is to watch this top part. When it starts separating, that means it's getting ready to go into the fern stage and you need to harvest them. And it may be anywhere from 8 to 10 inches. Commercially, they'll go in and they'll snap them off at the ground level like this. But we prefer to cut them because it gives you a little smoother cut, and it might help prevent some disease problems and that kind of thing too. But on a commercial basis, they don't have the time to do that. It's faster and cheaper just to go in and snap them. Earlier in the season as well, the basal portion won't be as fibrous or as woody, and it's a little bit more tender. But as the season goes on, you'll need to harvest them at a shorter height because it will get a little bit more woody. So we're just going to harvest some of these again by making a nice cut at the basal portion right at the ground level. Now, the real small ferns that come up, or spears, just let them go ahead and grow into the ferns because they really aren't going to help you out that much as far as production, and they'll help provide a little bit of growth. Now, the new plantings next year, you want to harvest maybe 3-4 weeks and then let the rest of them go to fern production. On ours that's mature, we can harvest starting in the early spring and go even through the end of May and June before we allow all of our ferns to go to seed and start growing for the production and the food to the crown. Now, along with the growth of the asparagus comes one of the early season pests, and that's the asparagus beetle. And I'd like to show you what's happening over here. Once we allow these smaller ferns to grow up, we start seeing the asparagus beetle, and we've got some adults scattered all over. Here is one in particular. They're pretty easy to identify because they have a blackish green metallic color, and then they have a cream colored spot on the back kind of surrounded with red. And this is the common common asparagus beetle. Now, they're also easy to identify the eggs because the eggs are a slate black color, and they're an oblong oval shape, and one end is actually attached to the stem. And these eggs, once they hatch, they will, the larvae can also feed on the spears too. And over here I'm going to show you one where we've gotten some damage, and it's caused the asparagus spear to turn brown, and that's a severe case, and it's just covered with eggs, and the larvae and the beetles both have been feeding on that. Now, commercially, that would cause you to lose a crop because it discolors your spears. For us, the easiest way to do it is to hand pick off the adults and get rid of them, and then you can go in and smash the eggs too. Well, now that we've got a little bit of asparagus here, let's go into the kitchen with Barb Brown and see what recipe she has for us today. Well, we've been harvesting a lot of asparagus lately, Barbara, and it seems like the most common way for people to prepare it is to steam it and smother it in fattening sauces such as cheese and hollandaise sauce and those kinds of things. You're going to show us a nutritious way, I guess, to prepare asparagus today, but what are we going to do?
We're going to do an herbed asparagus. One of the things, as you said, is using fats as a seasoning, and you take a real low-fat item and you really bump the calories up to where they don't need to be. And so using a few herbs and some garlic and some things like that, we can get something that's really tasty.
Okay. Well, we talked about how to get it to this stage. How do we need to prepare it to cook it up?
Asparagus is an interesting plant because it tells you where to cut it. As things, after you've got them out in the garden, they're going to start to get a little bit woodier. So you take this between your hands and you just bend it, and where it snaps, this part you can use in soups and things like that that are going to be basically strained again. This part is the part that you're going to eat. This is the tender part. Another thing that's interesting with asparagus is that the top is a lot more tender, and it's going to cook a lot more quickly. So that when you cook it, you want to make sure that you either tie it in a bundle and stand it up like this in the pot if possible. What we did today is to cut it into about 1-inch pieces and reserve the tops separate in a separate little pile. Put the bottoms in boiling water or in a small amount of water so that they would be actually being boiled and covered with water. And then the tops went on top of that so that they were out of the water, and the tops steamed, and that gave us the cooking time that would pretty much approximate what we needed in order to get the whole thing done at the same time without the top turning into mush before we were ready for it. On this particular dish, as I said, we cooked the asparagus ahead of time. We blanched it cooked it for about 1 minute. We then drained it real well. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of oil. Now this is going to serve about 4 people, so that's a very small amount of fat for the number of people that we're serving. We have 1 clove of garlic, and that's been minced up, and we'll combine those together with our 1 pound of asparagus.
And again, this has already been steamed.
This has already been cooked for 1 minute so that it's still on the crisp side. We blend these together, and basically it's a stir fry at this point. We're going to do this for about 2 minutes. Or, again, depending a little bit on how accurate you were in the first stage of cooking, it may take a little bit less time. Also, how crisp you want it when it's done.
Well, I guess it would depend, too, on the size of your asparagus spears, too, because as the season goes on, they get a little bit smaller.
That's definitely true, and there's some degree of controversy. Some people like the fat ones, some people like them real thin, and it's nice, if possible, if the dish you're making, you can get them all about the same size, so the cooking takes the same amount of time, but that, again, is not something that we're all able to do. And this basically is going to add that garlic flavor to the asparagus and help us reduce the need for the amount of fat that we're going to add. Now we're also going to add some herbs to this after this is cooked for a few minutes, and we're going to add some tomatoes to it. And I wanted to have you demonstrate for the viewers how we cut tomatoes here so that all the juice doesn't fall out of them, which is one of the problems.
All right. Well, as I was instructed today, which I didn't know this either, instead of cutting the tomato in half, you cut it from the stem end down and just slice it in half that way, and it keeps the insides a little bit more intact.
Right, and you do this not only with cherry tomatoes, but with all kinds of tomatoes. The big beefsteaks and so on that we use for slicing on sandwiches, one of the problems is you slice a big platter of those and then you put that out, and when you finish dinner, there's a whole pile of juice in the bottom, which is also a good and nutritious part, and that will help prevent some of that problem from occurring also. Okay, our asparagus looks like it's doing real well. I'm not quite sure exactly how much time we've used as far as cooking, but I think we're about to the point where we want to take the next step.
Right.
At this point, we're going to add about 10 cherry tomatoes that we've cut in half, half a teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/8 of a teaspoon of dried thyme, and just a dash of pepper depending on what your taste is for that. And again, stir these together, and at this point it's mostly just cooking them until the cherry tomatoes are warmed through. Overcooking the cherry tomatoes is going to cause the juice to come out of those, and you're going to be stuck with mushy tomatoes again. So 1 minute is probably the maximum that you're going to need at this point.
Well, you know, Barb, a lot of times when we bring in asparagus and tomatoes and things, they'll have a lot of soil on them. What is the bottom line as far as preparing our vegetables and washing them? I know there's a lot of discussion on whether you should use soap or not.
Yeah, that was particular in discussion when we were having a lot of concerns about pesticide residues and so on the produce. Recommendations for using soap have never been made by FDA or USDA, primarily because we have never tested soap for food safety, and the possibility of you getting residue from soap is a lot greater than the possibility of you getting residue from pesticides. So you're more apt to get sick by washing with soap than just plain water. You do need to lift them out of the water, however, or use running water.
Okay. Barb, why don't you recap the recipe again for our viewers, since we've got just a few seconds left.
Okay. 1 pound of fresh asparagus with the ends snapped, cut into 1-inch pieces and blanched about 1 minute. 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil, 1 clove garlic minced, 10 cherry tomatoes halved, 1/2 teaspoon dried whole oregano, 1/8 teaspoon dried whole thyme, a dash of pepper, and 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Now you coat the large skillet with cooking spray, add the vegetable oil, cook over medium heat until hot the asparagus and the garlic. That'll take about 2 minutes. Add the tomatoes, the oregano, the thyme, and the pepper. Cook about 1 minute or until the tomatoes are heated. Transfer to a serving dish and sprinkle with Parmesan cheese.
So this is the last step, and Barb, this is a great alternative again for asparagus. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks. You, Steve.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.